Hello and welcome back to the Only Fools Love Horses YouTube channel. And it really is a welcome back because we've had a nice little breakaway from the YouTube while the flat's been going on this year. But we're back as the jumps are now on the horizon. As you can see, left and right of me, Harry Beard and Racing Lee. Lee, jumps are back. You know, we decided this year to have a little bit of a siesta from the YouTube. We were still doing lots of stuff on social media, though. You know, we've got our TikTok flying up now. We're doing the Twitter lives that we're usually doing, but it's nice to make a valiant return to the YouTube ahead of the jumps.
I can't wait to get stuck in, Ash. It's good to be back. It's good to see you lads back on the videos. Regular content we'll have every week. And yeah, look, check the Twitter out and check the new TikTok as well. All different videos and brand new content we are going to be bringing this jump season.
Fingers crossed, yes. So hopefully keep that going forward. How long it will last, who knows? But we'll try and give it a good go. Harry, you look all smiley there. How was things with you? And I suppose, you know, it's a big congrats to you. You got a new job starting up out of uni. Congratulations. This must be going well for you.
Yeah, look, it's exciting times. Look, me and you both, we've both left uni now. So you go into the big bad wide world. It's a pretty daunting place. And look, don't get me wrong, it certainly was daunting as soon as you leave uni because you're almost stuck in the mud. You don't know, you're kind of thrown in the deep end really. And if you don't have an avenue to go down, then you can see why people struggle when they come out of these places. So I do really feel fortunate that I have got a place to land, and it is in the industry that I love, which is the sport. Obviously, as we record today on Tuesday, I go to the Arc next Friday, and within 2 weeks, how many people can say that they go on holiday with their work? So look, I feel very fortunate, and I'm blessed, really. I really am, and look, I can't wait to be back with you boys. The band is back together. And as you said, the little siesta has done everyone well. It's always good to have a little kip in an afternoon, and we've just woken up for the evening.
Definitely. Now we're gonna, as you can see on the screen here, jumps horse to follow. It's a niche idea, a novel idea. I haven't seen many people do it before. But before we kick on into them, because we've got not just our horse to follow, we've also got trainers, we've got familiar faces on horse racing YouTube and social media giving their sort of one horse to follow. Gents, meetings going forward for this year. What's, very quickly, 10 seconds, what's your favourite meeting to attend, Harry?
Oh, I'm going to go last year, just purely. I'm going to go the Trials Day at Cheltenham. I just love Trials Day. There's some feel about it. You're getting close to the festival. Proper winter feel. I love it. Can't wait.
Lee?
Look, I can't go away from Newcastle. I think the fighting fifth, I really do enjoy it. It really does get the bloods flowing for them hurdlers. Hopefully we'll get a clash. Maybe it's Willie Mullins' horse coming across. But like even the rehearsal chase on the same day, I really enjoy it. It's freezing cold.
Yes, your blood flowing because you're freezing your tits. That's why.
Oh, it definitely does. It's lashing down here now. But I've just been to Newcastle and I can't wait to get stuck in.
Good man. Mine's similar train of thought to Harry, but November meeting at Cheltenham. Big fan of that. Big fan of the Paddy Power and the whole 3 days. It's like a mini festival.
You were going to say the Hunter Chase meeting. I thought that would be.
I do like a Hunter Chase evening. No, the Paddy Power meeting. Big fan of that. But without further ado, gents, let's get stuck into this year's Horse to Follow for Only Fools Love Horses YouTube channel. And to make sure you're keeping up to date with our videos on YouTube, we've got an art preview coming out next week. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell.
My first horse to follow for this year is a horse called Below the Radar. It's a 6-year-old gelding hailing from the Paul Nicholls yard. And I was there last time out that this horse won at Uttoxeter. And I just really love the way that this horse was so green, but so talented as well. It was a kind of deep race. There was plenty of winners in there that day. And I just think that the horse has had a really lovely break and he could be anything. Goes on all sorts of ground. It was a horrible day at Uttoxeter. Horses were really struggling, but this horse seemed to just absolutely thrive on it. And I just think that this horse could be absolutely anything. His breeding suggests that he comes from a talented background, and you'd expect that there'd be plenty of handicaps for him, especially if a mark of 1, 2, 3. That's currently his hurdle mark. Whether he goes novice chasing, I'm not too sure, but he certainly is an exciting prospect.
Yes, Paul Nicholls' horse you just mentioned there, Harry. We've also got Charlie Davies, assistant trainer to Paul Nicholls, giving us a horse to follow coming up now.
Hi guys, my horse to follow for the season is Rabode. He's going to go novice chasing this year. I'm really excited to see what he can achieve over fences. We've scored him over fences at home and his jumping's been absolutely brilliant. He had a high level of form over hurdles and I think he could go even better over fences. So hopefully he does well and everyone has a great year.
My first horse to follow for the season is one from the Willie Mullins yard. Look, obviously things don't go under the radar or below the radar, should I say, like Harry's horse. But yeah, Fishery Lane for me, 6th in the champion bumper, was second, just beat behind stablemate Coco Mademoiselle on debut. 6th in the champion bumper. That was strong form. Jasmine DeVoe, Romeo Coolio was in there, but the Yellow Clay was just behind, and that horse ran second in the graded bumper there at the Punchestown Festival. By Gemix, who was a dual champion hurdle winner in France and got plenty of good form bloodlines, I would have said, family members related to multiple listed winners. But this Gemix, like I say, dual champion hurdle winner in France, but beat the likes of Solwit and stuff. So look, sired by a good horse, related to plenty of good horses, and bought by Brian Drew even, sorry, of Brabant's game there. So yeah, look, just plenty to like. It might not go under the radar because it's a Willie Mullins horse, but I think can pick up plenty of races along the way in the season, and it's not going to be one of his more prominent lights, but definitely got a good chance.
Hello everybody, Jake Price from The Jump Show here, and I have a horse for you that hopefully you won't know too much about. And that's the 3-year-old filly called Mercia. Now she was trained by David Cotin in France during the spring, where she placed on 3 occasions before then winning the Prix de l'Aina, a listed 3-year-old fillies hurdle at Oitoy in June, and she absolutely bolted up that day by 12 lengths. It was a very impressive performance. She clearly has high ability, and subsequently she has been purchased by Willie Mullins to go into training with him under the ownership of Kenny Alexander. Now that is obviously very significant because he has had the likes of Gala Marceau and Cargues both win black type races in France before coming over here to go juvenile hurdling for Willie Mullins, and that's exactly what they're going to try and do with Mercia. So obviously as Mercia has won a listed race, she will have a penalty to carry if she runs in a grade 2. So I'd imagine we won't see her starting off until around Christmas at Leopardstown. That's probably when connections will want to get going with her. But she's got plenty of experience. She's already run 4 time over hurdles. Obviously that's going to be paying dividends come the latter part of next season, and hopefully she can go on to win some graded races just like Gala Marceau and Cargues did as well. So Mercia is my horse to follow.
On a similar train of thought to Lee's first horse to follow, my first horse to follow comes from a race that they both ran in against each other, and that's a Punchestown bumper over 2 mile free, back end of last year. The winner of that race was Don't Stop the Music, and he's a horse that I'm really interested to see how he goes this year. First of all, highlighting that Punchestown bumper win, really, really impressive. Ridden by Derek O'Connor that day, and he came 4 wide around the bends and just gave him a little bit of a bump in the saddle by Derek. But as soon as he got low in, just the one bump in the saddle, he absolutely saunced up alongside the current leader at the time, and a quick flick and he was away. He won by 6 lengths in the end, and it was really, really impressive performance. I remember, I can tell you the Ladbrokes I stood in at Cheltenham that day because it was a Hunter Chase evening, and I looked at the performance and I thought that was really, really impressive. Just form-wise on that race already, the 3rd, Melbourne Shamrock, is a point-to-point winner. The 5th, Jack Moon, was a good 3rd to Romeo Coolio in a Fairy House bumper, a previous starts back, and obviously Romeo Coolio 2nd in the champion bumper. And the 5th, Church Road Prince, went on to win a Ballon Road maiden hurdle. So that was really good form from that race already, or it looks pretty decent form for a bumper horse going forward anyway. He actually started out his career in a maiden hurdle, but didn't really take to it very well. But then he went on to do something pretty decent when he finished 2nd to I Will Be Bay, who went on to beat My Trump Card in the Fairy House maiden hurdle, and then finished 5th in Nathaniel Lacey. That was in a bumper, and I thought, again, that's another good piece of form. And it was an impressive performance as well, considering he come back from a bit of a layoff and gone into his first bumper. Like, he's a 7-year-old coming from bumpers to a novice hurdle, so he's probably just had a bit slow to come to hand with, either having a setback or just being quite a big horse. Does look quite a big horse. So he is older, and he is going to be one of the older novice hurdlers going into it. But I do think he's got plenty of scope for improvement. He was being really impressed us at Punchestown, and I could see him being a bit of a stayer. Considering he won that bumper over 2 mile free, and it was on very soft ground that day, I could see him being a classy stayer this season. Potentially even one for the Bartlett, which he is 33 to 1 at the moment. Not recommending that as a bet, but just gives it a nice little scope. So Yeah, similar train of thought there to Lee, but I am with Don't Stop the Music as my first horse to follow for this season.
You want a horse to follow for the season? I'm going to nominate a horse called Phantom Getaway, who showed promise in his point-to-point in Ireland, showed promise over hurdles, and then had a shocking season last season. Hopefully that's well behind him. He's a very good jumper. He's probably very well handicapped. Provided he gets it act together this season, I believe he'll be a horse to follow.
Well, my second horse to follow is a 5-year-old now that is, I'm hoping, going to go novice chasing. It's a horse called Handstands. Now, the Sydney Banks winner from last year. Now, I believe, Ash, I may be right in saying that we're going to have a pretty similar horse to follow here. But look, Handstands was the winner that day. Was a really impressive winner. I was actually there, and it was really nasty conditions, but this horse just went through and through and through. Got a really strong pace to aim at. Obviously, when Bugey's Seagull, Charlie Longston, yes, and obviously then finished third behind Brighter Days Ahead at the Aintree Festival. So that form is pretty strong. Obviously, we know Django Bay was a little bit disappointing, but obviously then went to Aintree, I believe, and actually should have won. I mean, it was how the horse didn't win after such a troublesome passage through was remarkable. He actually flew home. But look, Handstands, I was actually there, and look, I still think he's got a frame that he can build into. He looks every inch a chaser, and we know what Ben Paulin can do with these sorts of prospects, and he usually starts pretty strong. So I'd imagine he'd be able to find him a nice little novice chase to get his head in front, and look, who knows? We know obviously the Turners now is going to be a handicap. His actual mark already is pretty workable, to be fair. He's off a mark of 139, so you'd imagine if he's going to be reaching that top level, he should be winning a handicap, especially off that, and he ought to be competitive. So I think Handstands looks to be a really interesting one for this year.
Hi lads, hope you're well. My horse to follow for the upcoming jump season is a horse called Sporting Glory, now trained by Gordon Elliott. Was with Pat Fahey last year. An 8-year-old who's obviously been a little bit difficult to get on the track. It was his first season under rules last season. He came on the scene with a second at Down Royal on Stephen's Day, which was quite eye-catching. He was then second behind Romeo Coolio, who went on to finish second in the Champion Bumper, obviously, next time out, before winning a bumper on his third start. They gave him a run over hurdles last year, which was in the 2-mile Grade 2 novice hurdle at the Ferryhouse Easter Festival, where he was a very eye-catching fourth behind Mirzur West after giving a patient ride by Michael O'Sullivan. He's since moved to Gordon Elliott. He was part of the Clipper Logistics dispersal sale for their jumps horses, and Gordon has picked him up for 120 grand. So for him to fetch 120 grand for an 8-year-old going 9, I think they must think this horse has plenty of ability in the tank. I'd like to hope he'd be a bit of a certainty in a maiden hurdle come the start of the year, maybe around a Navan or Punchestown or something like that, before going on to being a graded novice hurdler this year. I know he's got a few years on the clock, but he certainly doesn't have races on the clock. So I think Sporting Glory is definitely one you should be keeping on side. A very exciting novice hurdler now with Gordon Elliott.
My second horse to follow is a 6-year-old gelding, Joshua De Flo. I'm lucky enough to acquire a little leg in Joshua De Flo with the new owners, Ursa Major Racing there, run by Craig Talbot. Great organisation there, and now goes into training with Rebecca Menzies. Used to be with the Crawfords, and even Joseph O'Brien started out with and the double green of Simon Mania and Isaac Swade, but now in them Battenberg Silks, due to go chasing, been schooling there. We'll have a clip there to show from the schooling as well, from Rebecca's, but yeah, just really looking forward to seeing what Joshua De Flo can do around these northern tracks especially. Yeah, he's by Joshua Tree, the Grade 1 winner on the flat. He's a half-brother to 4 winners, including Balco De Flo, who's a Ryanair winner as well. And he's got potential for plenty more, I think. He started out behind a Punchestown winner and a bumper. He's been behind the likes of You Ought to Know for Willie Mullins, Croke Park, even Absolute Notions, and there's plenty in there as well. Deep Cave, I think it was a graded place as well. There's plenty of form lines in there. He won as he liked at Ayr. Previous to that, he had been behind Florida Dreams, who had won the graded bumper at the Aintree Festival as well, and has since ran I think was 8th, beating around 5 lengths in a Scottish champion hurdle. The form line is definitely there. Disappointed down Royal on latest run. You know, you can't deny that. But the front two have won 2 races each, and the 2 in behind and in between have both won a race as well from a handful of runs. I think got plenty of potential. Goes chasing. I think it's around the end of October. Rebecca mentioned to Craig and the team. So yeah, Joshua the Flow, one to look out for.
Hi everyone. My horse to follow for this season is Bill Joyce. He's a lovely big horse that we bought at the Cheltenham Festival sale in 2023 after winning his point-to-point. He won 2 bumpers last season, one at Warwick and then one at Exeter under a penalty. Won them both in very nice style. We were very happy with him. He's a very nice staying chaser for the future, and we were very happy with the way that he did things as early on in his career as he did last season. And we look forward to a novice hurdling campaign with him in the coming season.
My second horse to follow, again, is another bumper horse, but coming from this side of the Irish Sea, and it's Let It Rain, the 5-year-old mare trained by Dan Skelton. Plenty of people might know Let It Rain because she's unbeaten. She has won 2 from 2. She won a listed bumper, but I do still feel like she is worth highlighting in a video like this because she was meant to go for the champion bumper until she had a small setback. So Dan Skelton and the team pulled stumps on her for the season, just decided to give her a nice summer. That might be a blessing in disguise. You know, she's 5. She's still definitely going to be growing. And you've seen so many horses that goes Cheltenham, especially champion bumper. They can come out of the other side of it, you know, a bit not worse for wear, but it can take the toll on them, especially a mare like her. But I think it, you know, the missing of Cheltenham isn't going to be a massive issue at all. It might even help her going forward. And those bumper wins are really worth highlighting. She bolstered up on debut by 8 lengths, and she went to Ascot for that listed bumper. She was getting plenty of weight from the field because Brecon Castle, who was second, had won a listed bumper at Cheltenham before that, so he was going in with a penalty. But the form is still right there. As I mentioned, Brecon Castle, that win at Cheltenham was beating Fireflyer, who since went on to win 2 novice hurdles, and the third Moonshine went on to win 2 novice hurdles as well. So that sort of Cheltenham listed bumper form coming into the race was quite decent. Going back to the third from that Ascot bumper that was won by Let It Rain, Celtic Dino was then won a Wincanton bumper. So the form is stacking up from that race already, even though it was just a listed bumper. Pedigree wise, her dam is a full sister to Whisper, who obviously was a Grade 1 winning hurdler and won a Grade 2 novice chase. Nearly beat Mike Bite in that famous novice chase at Cheltenham. And she's also related to a listed hurdle winner who won a listed race by 15 lengths in France. She looks really, really impressive. And I remember speaking to Dan Skelton last season, talking about his team ahead of Cheltenham, and the one horse he was banging on about was Let It Rain. He had a big team, he had a big festival. But when I asked him for a dark horse to follow for Cheltenham, he said Let It Rain. He thinks plenty of her. I think a lot of people think plenty of her, and she's going to be going and being targeted towards the Mayor's Novice Hurdle at Cheltenham at the back end of the season. So she's definitely Let It Rain is definitely a horse to follow in that Mayor's Hurdling division this year, the novice division, I should say. But there's also another horse I just want to mention, La Marquise, trained by Jamie Snowden. I'm not going to mention too much about her because I'm going to leave that up to Jamie, who's given us a nice voice note about her going forward this season.
Put La Marquise in there as a novice hurdler to follow for the season. She obviously won 2 bumpers last season and was a very good third in the Grade 2 bumper up at Aintree. She jumps hurdles really well, progressed again from last season, and looks a really promising recruit to novice hurdling this season. That's La Marquise.
For the final 3 horses that we're going to highlight for this video, we're going to keep them more on the sort of graded side of things. I mean, we all like to find that, you know, unexposed bumper horse coming through the ranks that really is a proper, you know, horse to follow, could be anything. But these final 3 horses are more established stars that we've seen last year that we're just really looking forward to seeing out this season. Starting with Harry, your captain of the side, so to speak, is probably the more well known because he's got a Grade 1 under his belt, but or he's got a Cheltenham Festival race, I should say, under his belt, but he's still very exciting going forward.
Yeah, Corbett's Cross is his name. Obviously, Emmett Mullins trained, winner of the National Chase last year. Put up a monster performance at Aintree to finish only a couple of lengths behind Jerry Colomb. Obviously, in my opinion, this horse could be a dual Cheltenham Festival winner. Obviously, his antics in the Albert Bartlett from 2 years ago probably prevented him when he ran out and crashed through the barrier. But look, it's one of them. He was so impressive last year, and I'm really looking forward to see what he can do, because he just looks like he could just go. He could go 2 miles. He could go 4 miles. He just looks like an absolute machine. But it'd be interesting to see where the campaign. Obviously, we know what JP's got. So I wouldn't be firing any bullets. I'd be holding on to them. But wherever he does go, I'd probably be shooting the bullet.
Hello, Only Fools Love Horses fans. Dan Overall here, and a horse I'm really keen to keep on side and hope can make up into a graded staying novice chaser this season is Key to Bourbon. I see a lot of whispers about him last season, kept fairly low profile until running in the Martin Pipe, his rumoured target for a long time. Really well supported on that occasion and ran a really good race to finish third. I think just perhaps lacked a change of pace when needed, but he was still relatively inexperienced, so I think it was a really good run. And I know that form hasn't perhaps worked out as well as people would have expected, myself included, but I'd be remiss to completely give up on it just because of some end-of-season performances from those who had quite long seasons. I still think in a 12 months' time we'll look back at that race as a really solid piece of form, given how well the front four pulled clear and the fact they were all Irish-trained novices. Key to Bourbon then went to Ayr, where he bolted up in just facile fashion, beating some decent horses. Showed a bit more speed than I perhaps gave him credit for on that occasion. So I think they'll start him over 2.5 miles, but I think in time he'll definitely be more of a 3-mile chaser. Obviously only 5 last season. I think there's a lot of improvement to come. I hope he could make up into a Brown Advisory contender come the end of the season. And an honourable mention to Waterford Whispers, who ran a really good race in that Martin Pipe to finish second. I think now with the changes to the Cheltenham programme, the reinstatement of that novice handicap chase, given Henry Bromhead obviously won that race with Absolute Hard, and JP's tendency to have plenty of handicappers on side for the Cheltenham Festival, I think that race could be an ideal target for Waterford Whispers down the line as well.
Yeah, the one that I'm looking forward to is Golden Ace. The mare, she was second to a highly touted mare in Dysart Enos in the graded bumper there at Aintree. She's never looked back since going hurdling. She won 2 races. She divided penalty on that second start with ease. And then she went to the Mare's Novice at Cheltenham Festival. She come there tanking. You know, pace maybe he's dictated the race in the end, but Brighter Days Ahead was in second, who went on to sluice up against the boys in the Aintree graded 1. And then behind again was Jade DeGruzzi, who's went on to win a grade 1 at Fairyhouse. So the form there, it can't be knocked. She's then followed up in a listed race, again carrying a penalty, and she's bolted up over 2 mile forward and a bit change at Cheltenham at their April meeting. And yeah, look, I'm just really looking forward to seeing what she can do. And look, she's ground versatile as well. She's won on good, she's won on soft. She's got plenty to like about her. She's a huge price for that mare's hurdle, I think. And look, we don't want to look too far ahead, but she just really excites me, and hopefully she can kick on. She's with a smaller yard in Jeremy Scott's there. He hasn't got a huge string like so Willie Mullins and stuff. And yeah, I think want to look forward for the graded ones anyway.
Hello everybody, my horse to follow for the 2024-2025 jump season is Snipe. He was gradually improving last season in staying handicap chases on good to soft and soft ground, but I think it all was a bit too much for him at Haydock in the 3.5 mile Grand National Trial at the end of the season. Those kind of conditions at his age were just a little bit too much. I think on decent ground now, this campaign, as a year older, with a little bit more strength on his back and another winter too, he should be able to improve markedly, and I expect that handicap mark that he's currently got to be pretty lenient. Potentially in time, he could easily work into a horse who could be capable of running well in those kind of national contests. I expect staying handicap chases to be very much his bread and butter. And for Harry and Dan Skelton, who do so well with this kind of horse, Snipe would be my horse to follow for the current and ensuing jump season. Please do remember, of course, to like and subscribe to The Jump Show. I'm a member of that elsewhere on YouTube alongside Jake and Dan. But for now, my horse to follow, that is Snipe.
My final horse to highlight for the video, and it's one I'm really looking forward to now, going hopefully into novice chasing ranks. Trained by Nicky Henson, that's Django by, first of all, 5-year-old gelding, plenty of improvement to come, not just, with form-wise and going forward, but that physical stature that the horse is going to have at the age, at his age is definitely going to be something that's going to be improving going forward. Nicky Henson only landed 4 graded or listed novice hurdles last year, and only one of them was a grade 1, but that was Django Bay. And as much as he may be a grade 1 winner from his novice hurdling days, I still think he's a little bit underappreciated, or maybe a little bit going under the radar because he won a Grade 1, but he finished the season running in a handicap, which is a bit weird. Let's start with that Grade 1. He looked like that potentially he wasn't going to win the race, or Farron Glory looked like much the winner in the Form B novices hurdle, but Django Bay was there to win. I thought he did really well to win over that distance of 2 miles. I think he could end up turning into a 3-mile novice chaser for this season, or especially a 3-mile chaser maybe for next year. So to win how he did over 2 miles, really battled, really a big battler to beat Favour and Fortune. He's then since franked the form because he won the Scottish Champion hurdle at the end of the season, and even making headway as back through the field, about 15 lengths back, went on to win a novice hurdle at Newbury. So that form looks decent. We've got to remember that this horse was battling sort of neck and neck with Tell Her the Name at Ascot, and the two pulled an absolute mile clear. Tell Her the Name, obviously now with John Joe and AJ O'Neill, he's not a horse that we should be forgetting about either. And all the form that's sort of coming from last year's novice hurdle ranks is all circling around one horse, and that is Django Bay. He then went and finished second to Personal Ambition. The race really suited Personal Ambition that day. That was the race at Kelso, I believe. And Personal Ambition, they set fairly slow fractions in the early parts of the race, really set up for a sprint at the end. And Personal Ambition just stole lengths around the bend, and it was hard for Django Bay to pick them up in the end. And it really did suit a faster horse more than a stamina horse, which I do think Django Bay has got plenty of stamina on his side. Finally, and Harry alluded to it earlier in the video, that run at Aintree, the handicap, won by Katira, who was pretty much plotted out for the race. Django Bay nearly got stopped by a couple of horses as they jumped when the hurdle was down the home straight. Nearly got stopped, nearly got taken out, managed to get around that and only finish really close. A fast finisher, only beaten 2 lengths in the end. In the Wardside's back in third. Looks like he's one to follow this year, going novice chasing for Paul Nicholls. And yeah, I just think he's one that's going to be really one to keep an eye on. As I said, I think he can make up into a 3-mile novice chaser going forward. So they could wait for Exeter for that 3-mile novice chase that starts December. Or there is a 2-mile free novice chase at Ascot in November, which Henderson won with Chantry House in 2020, Angel's Breath in 2019, and When You're Ready, Freddie in 2018. That would, I'd say, probably going to be a natural maybe starting point for him, considering he's won at Ascot before. There's even like routes he could go down for novice handicap chasing. He's got a mark of 146 now, so maybe they could start him off there. Really,
Turners, mate. The Turners, like
yeah, maybe he could end up in the Turners. He really could. And this is another point I was going to bring up, because Hendo's got Chanel Bob and is it Peaky Boy for Ollie Harris. Those two look like they're going novice chasing this season, or at least one of them looks like they're going novice chasing this season, and they could be sort of the big graded superstar in Hendo's ranks, and this horse could be kept back a little bit potentially for returners. But either way, I think he's going to be one to keep an eye on. There could be a novice handicap chase down the line for him. Maybe that limited handicap chase at Ascot in November over 2-mile free, or the 2-mile 7 novice handicap chase at Chepstow on their jump season opener. But wherever Django Bay goes, he's probably going to be having my money on him, because he is my final horse to highlight in this video. That's what we've got time for on today's video. Thank you very much for watching the horses to follow. Plenty of horses to follow as well. So thank you very much to the guests who kindly donated their time and their video for the channel. If you are new to the channel, Lee's doing a nice little symbol there. Please do make sure to subscribe and turn the notification bell on. If you're old to the channel, do the same as well. Why not? Make sure to like the video. Going forward, we've got an ARC preview next week. We've got Chepstow preview the week after that. We'll then have Champions Day probably, then Cheltenham. So we've got plenty coming out now. And we also got Saturday Live in the most immediate future for the Cambridgeshire and a couple of Group 1s at Newmarket on the weekend. Thank you very much for watching. And
it's good to be back, baby.